Hey, it's Navid here, and in this session, I will share the best AI tools for creators that I personally can't live without anymore. And we will even give you a demo of some of the tools we are going to share, and we have a lot to cover. We're going to first dive into some of the categories, and I have Jan with me to help me with this session to share some of the tools here. So, are you excited, Jan?
I'm really excited because this is probably the most comprehensive we've ever given an overview over all the tools that we use, that we like. And I think it is a good starting point for people who don't really know what tools to look into because there are just so many flying around. These tools you see in the session will get you covered everything that you need to do in your creator business.
Yeah, 100%. Let's dive right in. And we have some categories we are going to get into. So we'll share a screen here. Let's dive right in. So first we start with the category of writing, AI writing tools, which you are probably very familiar with. And here you see ChatGPT, which we use a lot. And we have had other sessions on this as well, which we can link in the description. So Jan, what do you have to share here? Maybe you can do a little bit of a demo of
Right.
ChatGPT and how we use it.
Right. So no surprise, ChatGPT, the first one, and we won't spend too much time on it. But what I wanted to show is we've got a ton of GPTs, as you can see right here. And one of the favorites that we've built personally is the soap opera GPT that helps you with the email sequences. So we'll link this below the video, of course, and then you can use this to write soap opera welcome sequences for your own newsletter. And then the other examples that we wanted to show here is a free YouTube summarizer GPT that we've done in the we didn't build ourselves, but we use it almost every day, where you can transcribe YouTube videos, and then from the transcript you can pull out nuggets, you can pull out takeaways and make them your own and really use them to make the content that you create as good as it can be.
Yeah, I mean, we use it a lot for the research process with ChatGPT and things like this, but then we also combine it with other AI tools. So something I wanted to mention briefly is like the ChatGPT versus something like Bard or Claude. When do we use the different large language models in the first place? So here we have Bard, and what do you say this is good for? This is obviously from Google, so I think when it comes to seeing what ranks in Google and what shows up on the first page when I do blog post research and things like that, I think Bard can be even more useful than something like ChatGPT.
Yep, that's exactly what we use it for, the research and getting to know the facts and the details, because it's good if you have content that voices your opinion strongly. It's even better if you can back that up with facts and numbers and just quotes and things like that. That is where Bard comes in. Granted, I am in Germany right now and I don't have the latest version of Bard. I don't even have access to Gemini Pro officially yet, but that is where Perplexity comes
Yeah,
into
I was
play.
just gonna say that Perplexity is amazing. A lot of people, they have said on social media, when I'm seeing kind of some of my colleagues and friends what they post about, they say ChatGPT, it replaces Google in a lot of cases, and I would agree to some extent for sure. But Perplexity is even better, I think, in many ways than ChatGPT, and I wish Perplexity actually had GPTs, which maybe they will come out with at some point, that you can do stuff like that, because then it will be really useful for a lot of things we do for Summit show notes and takeaways and a lot of these things that it normally takes a lot of time. And I think Perplexity has a little bit of an edge when it comes to some of this stuff.
It sure does. And one thing that is something I really enjoy is you can collect your conversations into collections, and you can even give the thread a specific name. But what is really cool is that that's just a gimmick right here to help you organize the conversations. What's really cool is that you can regenerate answers with these different models right here. And since I am in Germany, I don't have access to Claude 2.1 because Claude or Anthropic doesn't open their LLM for Germany just yet because of GDPR and stuff. And I don't have access to Gemini Pro officially either, but with Perplexity as a wrapper around it, if you will, I can use this. So now I can just recreate the response with a different model. And as you can see, it pulled out different sources already, which is always a good sign, because then it means I get new perspectives, I get new input. And overall, if you combine the first draft and the second draft, of course, what you get is you get the best possible input.
I think tools like this are really useful because you can actually use different models. I think that's going to be more of the future, that you can actually switch between different large language models within one tool, and it's just better for the user in general. And you get really great output, and you can decide for the use case. But another tool that I think is very handy, at least for what I use it for, is content.ai by Rank Math. Now you see it inside of WordPress. We can also show their website as well, but this is kind of the different AI tools they include within Content AI and the Rank Math platform.
Yep, and this is what it looks like. So for each of these tiles that you see in the background, you have, think of it as predefined prompts, really. You've got a process where you can give Rank Math a little bit of detail on what you want the AI to do. In this case, come up with blog post ideas. And instead of having to write the entire prompt yourself, you can just rely on the selection of fields and inputs that Rank Math did for you. So if you wanted to, for example, have a blog post conclusion, you just have the topic, the main argument, the call to action, and select the tone, audience, and output language. And you don't have all this other jazz around. Like if you were to use this with ChatGPT, you would start with, you are a seasoned copywriter, you are the best in conversion copy, and your task is to blah, 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 blah.
Takes longer because they have it baked in the background. Basically, you still need to edit some stuff when you use tools like this, like any AI tool, but it's gonna be better output just right off the bat because you use a tool that's meant for this purpose. This is meant for writing blog posts, writing introductions, writing conclusions, writing the how-to articles and things like that. It's built by the #1 keyword research tool for WordPress, basically, or at least my favorite one, which is Rank Math. I've used it for years, and when they came out with Content AI, I was really excited. They've had AI built into Rank Math for years, but now with the generative AI features, it just takes things to a whole nother level. You see, this is crazy. And I would say if you're doing blogging, this is probably a better value than ChatGPT because it's actually cheaper even. I think if you go to their site, Jan, you can showcase a little bit the pricing. It's really affordable to use this. I would say it's even better value than ChatGPT if you're doing blogging and things like that, because you can see it starts like $3.99 a month, and it goes up there. It's even cheaper. Their best, most advanced plan is cheaper than ChatGPT. So if you're doing blogging and want all these tools, it's really, really amazing. And then yes, Rank Math is extra. So if you want the SEO plugin, you would have to pay for that as well, but it's a separate tool. So you get a lot of value in this, I would say. But yeah, again, it only works within WordPress. So if you're not using WordPress, this is obviously not relevant to you. But I do use it for all my sites. I think it's handy at times when I want to create content faster, or I want to, quickly write a conclusion or get some help with these different tools they offer.
Yeah, you can even have your YouTube scripts and YouTube descriptions and podcast outlines in here. And I would say if you are not using WordPress, but you still want to use AI content creation, something like Copy AI is a really good platform that you could use because this is platform agnostic. And this is something that Navid and I both really like, where you have a similar approach. There's predefined prompts. They usually work with the best copywriters in the space to really make sure the AI nails the type of copy you want to create. And then all you have to do is you create it inside Copy AI and you copy and paste it to the platform where you want it to have.
Yeah, copy.ai, I would say, is really good if you want to write conversion copy and things like that, maybe for sales pages, landing pages, and stuff like that. That's what it was built for. Of course, you can use it for other things, but I think a lot of copywriters, they rely a lot on copy.ai. I mean, it's in the name kind of. So it's a great tool, and they have been around since the very beginning, like when Jasper came out and things like that. They were very early and in jumping on this generative AI trend and creating tools for creators and entrepreneurs, copywriters, and everything in between.
Yeah. And then another one that is similar, but it is more on the, I want to say, long form content. It is Vocable, and we have Content at Scale as an honorable mention here as well, where you have these tools that are built to create long form copy. This is not just about a headline or a subheadline or call to action. This is the whole enchilada, right? It's a full blog post that you can create here. And with Vocable, what you can do is you can even have a team process. So you see this is structured in projects. You can have different drafts of your content, and the entire team that you might be working with can work inside this platform.
Yeah, because a lot of AI tools, they suffer a little bit when it comes to team collaboration. They actually don't have too many features for it. So I'm happy that tools like Vocable by AI for Creators Summit speaker Iman Obu, she's the co-founder of Vocable. And I think they have done a pretty good job with it. Time we're recording this, I think they were still in beta, but still looking pretty sharp. You know, when you go into it, it's really clean. And what I like is the workflows that you can actually have content briefs and you can take it through the process. This would normally take a long time to do, but now you can do this a lot faster. So this is kind of like Asana and like a generative AI tool all in one. Like you can like plan all your content production within this tool. At least that's where it's going to. And you are going to be able to, for example, take something you generate within Vocable and then push that to WordPress. And even taking a YouTube link and getting a summary or getting an entire blog post from a YouTube link eventually, that's something that she said that's coming. So really good stuff.
Pretty exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
And then as we are looking at the newsletter right here, we have to talk about Hoppy Copy, Navid.
Yeah. Hoppy Copy is interesting. I just stumbled across this when we were researching for an email marketing session and how to use that with ChatGPT. And it's okay, maybe I can compare it to Hoppy Copy. Hoppy Copy is specifically for writing emails that convert. I think it's really good at that. And it has promise behind the scenes, basically, that works really well. So you can see here, it's kind of a little bit similar to Content AI in terms of it's laid out. They have different tools within Hoppy Copy, basically, and they have different plans. It's pretty affordable. If you're using this for email marketing, is not too bad. A little bit more expensive than ChatGPT, but still pretty affordable for what you get.
Yeah, 100%. You have all these different things that you can create with, and you'll see it overlaps a little bit, like these social post ideas and social media posts you can create with these other tools as well. So in the end, it boils down to you trying these different things maybe and seeing, okay, I like Copy over Rank Math, or I like Copy AI, and it's really not the one tool to rule them all from what I've seen at least.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about content at scale. This is probably the best tool if you want to write SEO optimized content quickly. It's not the cheapest tool, so it's geared a little bit towards agencies, but they do have cheaper plans as well. But it's basically a one-click solution. You can actually put in a keyword or a YouTube link or something like that, and then you can get a pretty useful piece of content. You still have to customize it and things like that. Julia McCoy on the AI for Creators Summit, she goes over this in depth, how it works and everything. They claim to be the most human-like AI writer. I guess I would agree, because most AI writers are not that great. And I think this is the best one. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect by any means. I've tried it quite extensively. And although it gets things in an SEO optimized way, it's not the best always. You have to add more instructions. So you still have to put in quite some work, even though the prompts are behind the scenes a little bit. So you don't need to do as much prompting as you would have to do with ChatGPT. I think that's the difference with a lot of these third-party tools. You don't need to be a prompt expert or something like that. They have already baked that in. So I don't know if you would like to share something around this, Jan.
So what I think is the most important takeaway here, as you said, the tools like Content at Scale or Hoppy Copy or Vocable for that matter, what they do is they save you from the back and forth conversations you would have with ChatGPT or Claude or any other LLM. Inside ChatGPT, what you would do is you say, okay, I want to write this blog post. Your role is you are a seasoned blog post writing expert, or however you want to phrase that. And then it starts to become a conversation between yourself and the AI, and you go section by section through this piece of content. Whereas, for example, in Content at Scale, you feed it in with a YouTube link and you click one button and it writes a 2,000-word article in one sitting. That's the most important takeaway.
Yeah, 100%. So let's move on here to AI image generation tools. And I don't know about you, but I'm not really that skilled when it comes to creating images and stuff like that. I do enjoy photography. I do that when I travel around the world and things like that. But I'm not a great designer or anything like that. So I'm really happy that now it's a lot easier to create AI art essentially, or brand photos or photorealistic stuff. And just as we move on here, we are going to link up all the tools we mentioned in the description. So definitely check that out. We covered quite a lot in this session. Or if you have any other tools you use or anything you like us to cover further, do leave it in the comments below and we'll check there for sure. So let's get into AI image generation. You have Midjourney up here. That's probably one of the most well-known ones, or as I like to say, the best one for really high quality stuff, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I had some really good fun drawing Angie Merkel as Son Goku.
It is funny.
That was pretty cool. But it also has like its business use case. For example, I had a friend of mine who's working in an ad creative agency the other day. They had to do a design for an electric van, and they didn't really know what to design it with. And so we just played around with some stuff for their clients, and he got some ideas from it. It's not the finished design, but for ideas as well. And similar to what you just said, I'm not the most skilled person as a graphic designer. So it has a learning curve, but it gets me way further than I would be able to go without Image AI.
Yeah, that's true. And there's other tools as well. Midjourney has a pretty steep learning curve, and I do encourage you to check out Rory Flynn's and Drew Brucker's session at the AI for Creators series we have done. You can see it in the description later as well here, so you can check these sessions out. But they are really, really good if you want more in-depth stuff on Midjourney, for sure. But there's some other tools that I would say they are easier to use, like Leonardo AI. I would say has a better interface. Like with Midjourney, most people would have to go into Discord, although the native app will be available to everyone pretty soon. Leonardo AI is also really high quality. I do like the output it creates.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes you have a really hard time telling apart if this is an AI generated image or if it's just a photograph. I mean, the skin is very, very clear here, for example. That might be a giveaway. But on the other hand,
you know what? Rory Flynn shared something that you can actually add something on top of it, so then it actually creates some texture and things like that, and then it's real. Basically, that's what you. Even in Midjourney, he does that. It was a separate tool. That definitely check out that session. It's pretty mind blowing, to be honest. I'm not sure if that's available within Leonardo AI, but you can, of course, you can take this into Photoshop or your editing app and fine-tune this if you're more skilled on these different platforms.
Like this, for example, this could just as well be a magazine photograph.
Yeah, for sure.
This is so good. And I like Leonardo because it not forces me to go into Discord right now, as you said. And what's also cool is I can sort through the images way easier in this interface, whereas in Midjourney, it's a little bit tricky right now. But on the other hand, I have a hard time creating humans with Leonardo AI that have 5 fingers and that don't look warped. So the hand issue, sometimes it still looks like this. And
in Midjourney has gotten a lot better now. I think
has,
V6 is much better. But before it was kind of a struggle in some different AI image generation tools. But let's move on here. We have DALL-E within the ChatGPT platform, which is where we use it mostly. So let's show some examples of what you can create, maybe something for a blog or similar. You can use it for social media images, of course.
So what I use for DALL-E is the Gliber Tree Art Designer. So what I want to do is a social media image of a blogger writing on his MacBook at a beach in, I don't know, Lombok. Don't even know if Lombok has a beach, to be honest.
Lombok has some of the most gorgeous beaches in the world. That's one of my favorite places.
Yeah, you told me about it the other day. That's why
Indonesia
it came to mind.
It's great. They have countless beaches.
That's perfect example then. Okay, so what I've done here with the Gliber Tree Art Designer is you give it a very simple prompt, and the GPT is built in a way that it gives you 4 different variations of this image. So it will automatically vary the style. It won't just be the same image. And it gives you, as you can tell, the Midjourney prompt as well, so that you can compare DALL-E and Midjourney side by side if you wanted to.
Yeah, I do think when it comes to DALI, it doesn't look 100% photorealistic. Like it looks good. I mean, it doesn't look bad. You can still use it and you can fine tune this a little bit. But I think if you compare it to something like Midjourney or even Leonardo, I think you can get a little bit closer
Yeah.
to reality or what it would look like in a real photo. I think
Yeah, and
that's what I would
DALL-E
say.
also has these bugs in here where sometimes it just says error loading image and then the image doesn't come up. So if
Yeah.
you see this, you didn't break it. That's just part of the platform right now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's DALI 3. You can like play. I
Yep.
mean, I would just play around with it, to be honest. We're not going to do a full tutorial here, but if you would like to see that in the future, do let us know. All right, let's move on to the next one, Canva, which I'm sure you are familiar with. Unless you have been living under a rock, Canva has been available for a very long time
Yeah.
before AI was a thing. They have even had like background removal tools and things like that. That's AI basically. And we take it for granted now that it's very easy to remove the background, but that's AI in the background. Now you have also a magic resizer and a lot of other things. Plus, you have the AI image generation tools. You can actually generate images in Canva as well, although I haven't been too impressed with it myself, but you can do some of this as well in Canva.
Yeah. And what I've just done is I've created a German version of this image. So one thing we speak about time and time again, and one of the biggest advantages we see with AI is the ability to cater to an international audience, and to, for example, if you have a podcast, you could turn the podcast into Spanish if it's in English, or you could turn it into German or Chinese or whatever it is. So with Canva, you can translate the text on your images, and it obviously you can see me resize it now because it didn't really get the sizing right, but this translation is 100% correct. There's not a single error in this. And this is, if you've ever tried to generate text on an image using AI, you know how tricky it is. And I found Canva to be the only real option that can handle text because it actually has the text fields and it doesn't show them as pixels.
Yeah.
But that's one example. You can also, as Navid said, remove the background with it. You can have magic resizing where you can go from this YouTube thumbnail layout to, let's say, a vertical thumbnail layout. All sorts of different things you can do here.
Yeah, I mean, just go in and play around with it. I think you need their pro version for most of the AI features, at least if you want
Mhm.
an unlimited. But yeah, I think it's worth it. I use it every day. Even my design team, who used to use Photoshop a lot, they are gearing more towards Canva actually for a lot of stuff because it's just so easy, and it's also easy to share the work. You can just have a share link, and then you can share it with your team or with someone for feedback and stuff like that. It's easy to download it. And if you want to do it again, it's very easy. So let's move forward here.
So the next one we have is a tool that simplifies slide design. If you've ever created a slide in PowerPoint or in Keynote, you know how tedious it can be. And this is Gamma, which gives you a slide design by AI. And this is not mind-blowing design, right? It's solid and it's better than most people without a design background can create. It's not mind-blowing, but it will get the job done. But what is interesting is the present feature, because you can share this, let's say, with a potential client, for example, and you go into a session to pitch your high-ticket offer. And you have this beautiful slide deck where you go through all the objection handling and present your offer and things like that. If you share this with the lead in advance and then you go into presentation mode on your end, they will see exactly the point that you scroll to. You go through the presentation at the same speed without having to go into a Zoom meeting and then trying to get the screen share to work, and then it gets all blurry because the internet connection is bad or something like that. You cross through all of these troubles and you simply share a link to a beautifully designed presentation, go through it, and you win the day.
Yeah, it's incredible. The other thing is really interesting is that they actually create the content for you. Maybe you can
Right.
showcase this, how it works quickly.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good. I would say it's not perfect, of course, it's AI, but you are still going to get it quite good, and it actually putting the content there. So you can tweak the content if you want to use something like that. And the most effective presentations doesn't need necessarily to have the most mind-blowing design by design team. It just needs to be clean and simple. And I think Gamma does a great job. We have tested a few of these AI presentation tools, and they are not always the best, but I think Gamma is the best AI presentation tool that I have found that can do a lot of this stuff. And yeah, that's why we recommend it.
So the example here is help me create a presentation about the benefits of AI for content creators. And as you can see, we don't jump directly into the layout. We go first through an outline process. And I think this is really important because it lets you rearrange things. Sometimes what we've seen is the AI isn't the best at reasoning or putting things into order. So it is good that we have the option here. And now when we continue, we can select different themes and different design styles. And let's go with this one for now. This is what the text looks like, the body text, the buttons, text boxes, and so on. So we now go generate. And you can see the presentation being created in real time.
It's pretty mind-blowing to see this, and it's actually a pretty good style. It's maybe not exactly how you want it, but you can tweak things afterwards, and you can for sure tweak the color scheme and everything to fit your brand nicely. So
yeah, it even creates the images for you. As you can see here on the left-hand side, it fills in the images.
I love this tool. This has actually replaced Google Slides for a lot of stuff. For me, at least. I don't know about you, Jan. I'm sure you're using this more and more as well.
Yeah. The more presentations I do, the more use cases I find, to be honest.
Yeah, awesome. So let's move on to AI video tools. I'm really excited about this category. And I think this is a category that's going to get better and better in the future. It's already quite good, but I think with video, it's always taken a little bit longer to get there, I think. So, but it's still really cool what you can do with these tools. And I think you should be inspired to see kind of where you can take things moving forward. Okay, here we have Runway ML, which is an amazing text to video tool. And you can do some really cool stuff, really high end, which looks kind of like a Hollywood movie with this, but I wouldn't say it's ready for prime time, but you can do some great things. Maybe not as a creator, you wouldn't use it too much as a content creator, but still you can do innovative things with it. I don't know if you have any insights to share around this, Jan.
The way I see most people use this is you create an image in, let's say, Midjourney, and then you put it into Runway, and you create this 1 second to 2 second, maybe 3 second clip, and then you have to piece multiple images together. So it is right now quite a tedious process, but I would expect throughout the year to see a lot of progress on this front.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice if you have taken a photo and you want to turn it into a video, that's great. But if you just want, for example, stock video, which you can go to like Storyblocks or something, I do think, I mean, that's higher quality usually. I mean, you would get anything you want, kind of. I mean, it wouldn't probably look as in Runway ML. It still looks good, but I think, of course, stock video, if you need it for this purpose, I think it might be better. So, but definitely keep an eye out for this tool. I think it's just going to get better and better. Another AI video tool I like is HeyGen, which allows you to create AI-powered video creations at scale. Basically, you can clone yourself with AI and get these cool AI avatars. Have you used this, Jan?
I've played around with this, and here's the use case. What I want to do is I want to have an exceptional onboarding experience for my customers. And what better way than to have the founder walk you through, in my case, the SaaS platform. Could as well be an online course, or could be like a workshop or something like that. And obviously, I don't have time to take calls with any customer and walk them through the platform myself. But if there's the AI Jan that explains everything in detail, that looks like me, has my voice, speaks like me, that is a really good way, I think. And I'm actually working with a client right now to do exactly that for their web hosting company. And the CEO is super, super knowledgeable. And most customers they have want to speak directly with the CEO. So what we're trying to do is, instead of saying, okay, CEO, you charge $1,000 an hour now, and all you do is speak with your customers, we do an AI version of him. And we are trying HeyGen with this. We're also trying other tools that we're going to speak about further down the road in this session.
Yeah, I think Hadrian is cool for the online courses as well. I wouldn't personally use it to record an entire online course because it's kind of impersonal to do it, but I've seen people do that. Some people don't get too many complaints with this, but I do think for my use case, I don't do it for this. I use it more the way you explained it, Jan. I would maybe have it for an onboarding sequence, or if I have a little chat bot, then I would maybe have this video, because then you can clone yourself. I would also play around with it for sales videos and stuff like that to see how it converts. I've seen people like Billie Jean, he's using it for his AI avatars for his ads. Obviously, they work pretty well, but he also sells stuff on AI. So that's why he's using it essentially. But
self-fulfilling prophecy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's good. I think this is just going to get better. And you can even have, if you combine this with a tool we're going to mention, 11 Labs, you can actually do some really cool stuff with HeyGen to have it in different languages, but we'll speak about this in a little bit here. Then we have Synthesia, which is another AI tool. I think this one is interesting. What do you have to say about this one?
Yeah, this one is the OG in the space, if you will. I think they've been around since 2019, 2020-ish. And they are so big that by now I've seen AI reporters at Reuters being on national television that have been generated by Synthesia. So they've grown quite a bit. They are essentially the same tool as HeyGen, but I think they've been around longer and they are a little bit more sophisticated, I would say, but also more pricey, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can do some really cool stuff with all of these. I would just play around with them. It's pretty simple. You just upload essentially your video, and then it will, basically you'll train it, and then it will create this avatar. It's pretty straightforward. Just follow the instructions. And I think the more you train it with, the better it can get, basically. So yes, have a high quality video of yourself speaking clearly, and then you should be able to get some pretty cool AI avatars. And do let me know if you've tried this in the comments. This is something I'm exploring myself a lot with these different AI video tools to see if this can help me in my processes. We have some other ones in AI video tools as well that deserve some mention that we have played around with. Here we have v.io, and you can do some pretty similar things as you can do with HeyGen with this. Have you used this one a little bit, Jan, or sign up for it?
I've just played around with it. I'm not too deep into it, to be honest. But I think it has the same conclusion for me. Right now, I would not feel comfortable sharing this or using this for full video. But if I have these sequences where, okay, let's just send them a little message here and there, and it is something that I want to replicate at scale, then it's cool to have this, because all my team members could sign into this and use my avatar and create the video they need to, and I don't get occupied to have to record the videos, actually.
Yeah, I think that's what it's really good for, when you need to clone yourself and scale yourself a little bit, and then you can actually have a video of yourself and then send it on. But I think, and something worth mentioning, if you have longer videos and want to do that, that's actually pretty pricey right now. So I think stuff like this will be cheaper in the future. I think if you're doing shorter videos, clips for social media and things like that, or as you mentioned, you can do it for processes or your team, or even an onboarding sequence for customers, you probably don't have the longest videos. For this kind of stuff, it makes sense to use it. Another one we had here on our list is InVideo.io. They have an AI as well here and create videos with text prompts, basically. And I've played around with this, and I'm gonna be honest, it creates the video for you based on the prompt, but it's something I would publish on my YouTube channel and put my name behind. Probably not, to be honest, but it's worth a mention because you can still dabble with these things and you can edit this as you go as well. But it's kind of nice where things are going. And I think keeping an eye on these tools are really important. You have actually used this a little more than me, Jan.
Yeah, and I've actually played around with it to create a faceless YouTube channel, but then the summit came along and I stopped working on that YouTube channel. But I think for this type of content where it is not a personal brand, you're building a brand, but it's not yours and it's not your face attached to it, and you just tell stories through visuals, then I think InVideo.io and tools like that can be really, really powerful, because they speed up the process so much.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about text-to-speech AI tools as well. And we have especially one that we really like is 11 Labs. We use this quite a bit for, at least we are dabbling with it to, let's say we wanted to take this longer video and we wanted to get our voices in Spanish and perfectly synced, then we can use a tool like 11 Labs to do that. And it's mind-blowingly good, actually. I think this
Yeah.
is ready for prime time. This actually you can use. It would just probably be a little bit expensive to combine this with something like HeyGen to do this for a longer video. But for shorter clips and stuff like that for social media, I think it's still fine. And you can play around with it to get used to tools like this.
Okay, so what you can do here is, as you see, it says speech synthesis. So what you do is you upload your own voice. It's a recording that has to be at least 1 minute long and just you talking without any background noise. And then you put in the text into this field that you want to synthesize the speech for. That is text to speech. So what you do is you take the transcript of the short clip that you want to translate into a different language. You put it in the new language, you put it into this field and you hit generate and you get that audio clip, which then you need to combine with the video clip, let's say from HeyGen. You put them together and you've got a video and sound in the new language. What you can also do is you can go speech to speech, which is, I don't really have a use case for that myself, but essentially what this does is you upload a clip with speech that you want to synthesize a new voice for, and then you can do it like this. So for example, maybe a coworker or a team member said something really clever and you want to make that your own, and you have it in a Zoom call. And of course, you are the manager or the boss, and this is your VA saying something, and it's okay that you use it for yourself and you're not creating like a deep fake here. Then you can upload that voice clip and you put your own voice or a different voice onto it.
No, that's great. And we're not going to get into too much to this now, but if you want to see this in the future, we might do a full video on this. This is a whole topic on its own. It will take quite a lot of time. But let's move on here to AI for courses and memberships. I think this is something we use a lot. And Searchy.io is a tool we love for the Creator School membership, especially Searchy Wisdom that we use for basically uploading all our content from the membership, from the courses, the workshops, and even from our YouTube channel. We can automatically sync the stuff that goes on the YouTube channel to Searchy because they have a library there. So you can like categorize things very nicely. And then it's automatically synced. And that's a great way to add more value to your customers, to your students. And let me remove us so you can see this here. This is basically the widget here. And you can, if you click on one of them, you can probably see an answer come up. Is first a written answer, then you can also see a reference, which is a video in Searchy. If you click the reference, Jan, you will be able to see this here, and it pulls up big. So you can basically see this here. It's quite nice.
What I like most about this is it doesn't pull you out of the learning that you're doing right now. So if you know, okay, I'm in this session and this session covered something, but I don't really know at what timestamp the topic was covered, you can go through this and you get the answer directly. And if I'm done with the answer and I think it's cool, I just close this and then I continue watching the session that I was originally watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple to set up. Okay, let's show quickly inside of Searchy here so you can like see how simple this is to set up. So I'll remove us so you can see it. This is the little widget. And then you have a little bit of a setup process. You just answer a few questions. You basically upload your videos in Searchy. Like you have a full library there. We're not going to go through a full tutorial on Searchy now, but it's pretty simple. You add a few questions, you style it a little bit. And what I think what's going to happen with Searchy in the future, they're going to be able to have also documents and stuff like that. You're going to be able to train the AI a little bit more to speak in your voice if you have a specific way to answer, stuff like that. And hopefully in the future, you will even be able to have like an AI avatar in video form that can pop up or something like that. You can actually, you know, have yourself there. I think it's cool. Like if you have specific questions, maybe you have trained it on these things and then you will come up there. And this is also a use case where you can use a tool like HeyGen. Maybe you have a set of questions. Then you can upload that to Searchy for now. And then you'll have your answers there for your members. Some people are even monetizing this, which is really cool. Like you can make like $9 a month, $10, $20, whatever. CoachVox is another platform that we have dabbled a little bit with, but Searchy offers a little bit more. I do think CoachFocus is more advanced for this use case of kind of having a knowledge base, essentially. I think you can do a little more. You can train the AI a little bit more here. And that's what I like it for. But it's basically creating an AI version of yourself. And you can use it for lead gen and many things. Actually, that's what I find is really cool, because maybe they sign up for something and then they're getting like a personalized access kind of within this little AI avatar you have created. So yeah, have you used this a lot, Jan, other than for Creator School?
Yeah, that's what I'm working with my client on, actually, to get him into CoachVox
Okay,
so
cool.
that we can have this chatbot representing him to his customers.
Awesome. So that's it for this, basically AI for courses. And Searchy also has a lot more. You can have a full-blown membership. You can have a course platform on there. So I think basically like a Netflix experience. I think that's where it's going a little bit when it comes to courses, that you can actually be, when you log into Netflix, it's basically AI powered. Same with YouTube and things like that, based on how you click and how you engage with the content. I think that would be a game changer for a lot of the content we create as solopreneurs and content creators, because normally these platforms, they don't have this easily accessible. You would have to hire a coder or like a full dev team to do this kind of stuff. So I would be excited if it becomes easier to just integrate this into the platforms, that it will be easy to onboard people and make a more personalized experience. And I think Search is on the forefront of this, and I know Stu McLaren is really big proponent of this. I don't think they are quite there yet with everything, but with as with anything with AI, it's moving pretty quickly. So we can probably expect quite some updates even in this year.
Yeah, one tool that also evolved quite a bit and that we use quite a lot is Descript. And I think what I like about this the most is it helps you streamline the production process. Like with CoachWalks and Searchy and all those tools, it was really cool because they evolve fast in terms of getting new experiences. But let's talk about podcasting and all those tools, because that is existing experiences we already create for our audience. And with Descript, what you can do is you can have Descript AI, for example, pull out chapters and markers. And you can see this here in the session we did with Ryan Levesque. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a whole lot of different chapters in a 17-minute session. And I remember how tedious it was if I had to do this all myself. What do you say, Navid?
Yeah, this stuff takes a long time. And I think what we have mentioned previously is that AI is really good with the supporting content. It's not as good with the original or creativity when it comes to content creation. And that's why I don't really I use AI writing tools as well, of course, but I don't use it for creating the entire piece of content. I like to start with a longer video like this one, and then I repurpose this content into other pieces of content, like for social media or these mundane tasks that I don't like to do. I don't like adding the descriptions on YouTube. I don't like doing all of this, but I can actually get this done a lot faster with tools like Descript. And I can show a little bit the feature set quickly. I'm gonna remove us so you can see the sidebar here. One of the things I like a lot is studio sound when it works. Sometimes it's a little bit buggy, but I guess that's how it is with some new AI features. They also have AI eye correction and stuff like that, which is pretty scary sometimes, but it can do it. And I think Descript, if they figure out some of their bugs, I think it can be a really useful tool. I think what they are the best at is probably the transcript. It's really high quality, and I think that's just how easy it is to edit video. Just editing the text, basically, like a Google Doc is how you edit the video. So you can actually, I know a lot of editors, they use tools like this, and then if they want to do more fancy stuff, they might bring it into Premiere or Final Cut after. So that could be a good workflow. But yeah, we use this a lot. We even use this for our shorts as well. We created templates and stuff like that inside of Descript. I don't know if you have this even in here, but I think we have all the templates there. So basically you can create templates for different platforms like Instagram stories and reels and all this kind of stuff. You can do it in here. So that could be an alternative to something like Opus. It's not automatic, for sure not, but it's still pretty good. You can do it on brand and stuff like that, which is great.
Yeah.
Here we have Opus Clip, basically, which you just take basically a Google Drive link, or you can take a YouTube link or anything like that, and just creates, sometimes you can create dozens of clips, sometimes even 100 clips from one video, depending on how long it is, and you get pretty useful content. The problem is that is not always gonna make it perfect, so you have to go in there and tweak it, and that takes usually like an assistant or something like that. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not one to hype up these tools and make them sound like they are amazing at everything. You need to have a human input to this. Even though other people might tell you otherwise, you will need sometimes human input if you want the quality. And I think you do want the quality if you want to stand out online. Otherwise, you're publishing this content. It's honestly not going to make any impact because other people, they are publishing higher quality content than you. So then it doesn't make too much sense. That's Opus. We even have a video on the channel about this, so we can link that up as well. One tool I really like is Riverside. I use this a lot for recording these high quality summit videos. You can even do it up to 4K. That's not really the AI features I'm excited about, but it's really the things that happen afterwards with the show notes features. I think that's really cool. The magic clips. I mean, this is great. I think it's not perfect with the description. I think it sounds a little bit monotone. So you have to tweak that a little bit to make it better. But the chapters are usually pretty good and the takeaways are quite good as well. So you save a lot of time with this. I just wish you had some customization features or something like that, or like to reprompt to get a little bit more out of it. But maybe that's something that's coming with Riverside. You can do the magic clips and create. It's basically, if you just wanted to pay for one tool, I mean, Descript, Riverside, they do a lot of similar things. I think Descript has the best editor, but again, it's been a little bit buggy lately for us at least. So hopefully they fix these things. Riverside has a more simple editor, but yeah, you just have to play around with it. Descript acquired Squadcast. So if you just wanted one tool, maybe Descript might be the best value as it's a similar price point as Riverside. But yeah, I would say Riverside is a little bit better with their podcast tool, with their recording feature. I think that's my experience at least. You have to test it yourself to see what you prefer.
Yeah, another one I would throw into the mix right here is Podcaster AI. It's a very similar tool where you have the recording and the editing in one platform as well. You can clone your voice with AI in this. You have the AI Magic Dust, which is essentially kind of like studio sound in Descript, where you use AI to make sure the guests have the same volume, for example, it filters out the background noise and things like that. We don't use it as much, but it is worth mentioning here in this context, I think.
Yeah, it's a good one. You can do 4K as well. I do like that for the high quality because here's the deal. A lot of people, they are doing these very high quality in-person podcasts. So how are you going to stand out if you do record remotely? It's going to be very difficult. So you need to make sure you have something better than your MacBook camera or your laptop camera or something like that. I'm not saying you need to have the most fancy mirrorless camera or something like that, but definitely make sure you have a good lighting setup or it looks pretty good, because otherwise you're not going to be able to stand out as much. Of course, the content is the most important thing. The production quality is getting more and more important, especially since more podcasts, they are produced in person. So definitely keep that in mind when you're getting into this. And it's not that complicated to use some of these tools. They're really easy and you just have to get in there and dabble a little bit and start. And I would probably personally just take advantage of the Riverside trial. We have a 30-day trial. You can find it in the description. I would start there.
Yeah. And then when it comes to post-production, as we're talking about production, I would mention Autopod, which is a Premiere Pro plugin that makes sure the cuts are proper and even automates the cuts and multicam setups and things. There is an alternative, which is called the Firecut from Ali Abdaal. Pretty much the same thing. It's also an Adobe plugin for Adobe Premiere. This is editing. What also goes into post-production, at least in my house, is something like Cast Magic, because it's one thing to actually do the podcast and then to get it edited. It's another thing to actually get listeners to the podcast. You need to promote it. You need to have great show notes. You need to have great descriptions. You need to have clips that go out on social media, all those things. And Cast Magic makes that quite easy.
And you don't need all of these tools. You know, Cast Magic is pretty good for certain things. I do think it's pretty pricey. They had a lifetime deal at one point at the AppSum, I believe, but that's long gone. It's quite pricey, especially if you want to use a lot of minutes within Cast Magic. But I do think something like Riverside, they do have some show notes, but it's not as much as you can get from Cast Magic. You can also build your own solution, which is something Jan and I have dabbled with, Perplexity and Claude and things like this, where we actually get a lot of useful stuff for creating session notes and stuff like that for summit videos where we need to go more in depth. That's actually something potentially customer might pay for. So we have to do it a little bit better and with higher quality. And also with the GPTs within ChatGPT, you can also play around a little bit, although we are seeing pretty inconsistent output. So that's the negative there. But yeah, with some of these tools are great. I think I'm really excited to do some more in-person stuff. I think Autopod and Firecut, it just saves so much time. I think people have said they are saving hours and hours, and that was professional editors to just use this and pull it into these tools. I think is amazing. I mean, it would maybe even take less time to do an in-person podcast than doing something like remotely when you need to edit and stuff, because you're basically making a professional edit with just one click, basically, or pulling it into these tools. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just reading this here, 10 cameras and 10 microphones, and you edit the sequences automatically.
And I'm not going to have that anytime soon. Maybe like 2 or 3 cameras. I think for a 2-person podcast, I think ultimately you will have probably like 3 cameras for different angles, and then you will be pretty set. But yeah, that's normally what people do. If you have a more advanced setup, of course, you can do crazy things. But I think for most people, that would be good. And then you will still save so much time with these AI tools here. So let's move forward to AI productivity tools or kind of task management as well. Here we have Guide, which is a great tool for creating kind of these processes that are pretty tedious to do. And I don't know about you, Jan. I'm sure you have created a lot of Loom videos in your days and taking screencasts and all this kind of stuff. And now we have an AI tool here that can pretty much do this for you.
To this day, yeah. And I am really excited about Guide because it just saves me so much time. Right now, I'm building this AI platform, as you know, and there's all sorts of different people coming into the team at this point. And it's not easy to get everybody on the same page. And you can do so much with the written documentation and with the written, let's say, checklist or something. They have their point, but a video explaining, okay, this is what you do, here's why you do it, and then having AI polish up the video and making it as useful as it can be with the table of contents and all those things really saves me, like, I want to say 5 hours a week. So essentially what we use this for is documenting all the processes. And as you can see right here, it has magic and powered by GPT and all those things. To be honest, what this is it is a tool for you to document what you do so that other people can replicate this. And if you are a creator, if you work with virtual assistants, that is exactly what you want, because then you get repeatable quality. People don't make mistakes anymore. You don't need to supervise as much. And all those benefits come with SOPs, and Guide, I found for myself at least, makes this a lot easier.
Yeah, 100%. This is a tool I'm very excited about, and you should try it out. It's not bad to test things like this, because I think there's like a million AI tools. The ones we are showing here are actually really useful, I think, and that's something we actually dabble with ourselves and we use in our businesses. So let's go on to Notion AI. I think I have a love-hate relationship with their AI, but I do use it for a lot of other stuff. I do think they have gotten better with their AI, but I think at some point, they used GPT 3.5, so the output was really bad. I'm just here to share the honest truth because I use a lot of these tools. I am not here to say, hey, it's amazing. The output has been pretty terrible in both Notion and ClickUp, but I do think they are coming out with some really cool stuff. And if there's going to be one AI to replace them all, they better use GPT-4, the latest model. Otherwise, it's not going to be an AI to replace them all. I just want to stress this here. It's not. I have even spoken to their support. They wouldn't like say per se it's using 3.5, but I could tell by the output. It's so terrible that it must be 3.5. But we still recommend it because it's a great kind of task management. Notion, not as much task management, but I know people use it for this. But I do use it for like lead magnets and stuff like that. I do think it can be really useful for a lot of this stuff and Notion. And I'm sure you are familiar with it. Maybe you even use it in your business or your personal life. I think it's great. And I think instead of like creating these long lead magnets in PDF formats, you can use something like Notion and ClickUp now. And if they actually implement AI and do it better with the latest model, which they say they are going to replace them all here, I think it's going to be really useful. Like then you can really get some great output within it, and you can create your lead magnets and content directly within these tools, which I think is really useful.
What's also worth noting here is, from my experience, AI works best if it has access to your intellectual property, if it has access to your processes, your content, the way you do things, your notes, maybe even your journal, if you journal in Notion. And that is what makes those two platforms really cool. Both Notion and ClickUp train, I don't want to say train the AI on your content, but the AI has access to your content. So the examples ClickUp has right here is ask about the task, ask about the docs, ask about the people. You can do the same thing in Notion as well. And this is something that ChatGPT cannot do, because ChatGPT does not know what is inside your Notion. And if you've built the entire business in Notion or ClickUp, you want an AI to be able to access that.
And I'm glad you mentioned this, because ChatGPT is more of an open system. You're actually training the model, and you don't want to do this with all information. I'm not saying it's bad to do this with publicly available information that you have on your blog or YouTube channel and stuff like that. But if you have something more sensitive that you use with your customers or with your team, then you don't want to upload this to ChatGPT. We have mentioned this in previous videos we have done. Definitely don't do this. It's pretty risky, and because they have sometimes security breaches even if you do it within GPTs. So be a little bit careful with this. But if you're using tools like ClickUp or Notion or even Searchy, like you upload your knowledge, or Coachbox, that's a closed system. So you're not going to be training the model, and you're actually uploading your information in there, and it's only going to pull from that information. I think that is the most useful thing.
And that's also exactly what you want to have, switching to the next category, customer support. What you have in those ticketing systems. Let's say you have 1,000 people, 2,000 people in your online course, and you slowly start to get overwhelmed with the questions that they ask in there. You need to set up some form of support desk that can handle that. And with TDO, you can have even a fully AI-based customer service, which is something like a chatbot where you upload the course knowledge, for example, and the frequently asked questions and things like that. And then the bot can answer the questions as kind of like the first level support. And then second level support would be you coming in or your team coming in. TDO is a really good one for that.
I love that it combines the AI-powered support with the human aspect, because imagine the AI didn't know the answer, so you would direct it to the human, for example. But you also have to be really careful when you're using stuff like that, because if the AI says something that it's not aligned with something you offer, maybe a refund policy or something like that, you have to be really careful on what you upload and how you train it. And you can do all of this in TDO, which is great, but you still have to go through this process. It's not like instantly you have this, you need to set it up, and then it will work pretty well as intended, basically. But if you don't want to go all in with AI-powered support, I think Help Scout is a great medium. They are implementing AI features, but more like generative AI in terms of, let's say you get an email from a customer and you don't have time to reply in the best way, then Help Scout can help you generate that response. And it might do even a better job than you would do with this. Maybe you're angry, the customer is not right, but you want to just, write something back. Well, take it a little bit easy and then go into Help Scout, and it can help you with this. Yes, you can do this with ChatGPT, but imagine you're using Help Scout for your support system where your team has access to everything. You might not want to have this within Gmail or your Google Workspace. So I think Help Scout is great for that. They have like a knowledge base as well, so you can upload different docs and things like that. They also have a chat, so you can have live chat, but it's not the same as TDO, because your live chat is actually a real chat. It's not AI powered in that sense, but you can still have your docs and stuff like that available. So if you are not there live, you can send them to these docs instead. So I think Help Scout is a great medium if you don't want to use something like TDO. Okay, let's move on to AI for social media. I think that's a big one. First, here we have Taplio, which is a great tool to leverage AI to grow on LinkedIn. That's probably the most well-known one, even. Creators like Justin Welsh and others, they are using this tool. So it's a really good one. I don't know if you have some examples to share and how you have used it in the past, Jan, and things like this.
Yeah, what I've used it for is drafting content, and then I eventually built my own tool for this because I'm a nerd and I can't help myself. But the best way to think about this is it takes the LinkedIn content that works and makes it very easy for you to create your own version of that content. So Tablio knows what type of copy works because you can access examples and templates and things like that, and you can use AI to add your own tone of voice to it. I've just found it to be quite pricey. I mean, if you're not a nerd like myself, then it's well worth the money, of course. But in the end,
if you're going to go all in on LinkedIn, I think if you're not, of course, much on LinkedIn, or maybe you are posting here and there, it's not worth it. But if you are posting daily on LinkedIn, I would say it's pretty valuable because you can get a lot of input from the different posts that work. You can already know before what works. They have their database and stuff you can search within the platform. You have their generative AI features. They are actually using GPT-4, so the output is pretty good in many cases. But again, it's with any AI tool, it's not going to always be great. You want to use it mostly for inspiration, and then you can put in your own content. We have actually done something where we go to something like LinkedIn and we find a post, let's say from Justin Welsh or someone else that we like, and then we might go into ChatGPT and we break down their structure. That's something you can do. I think you do this a little bit faster with a tool like Tablio because they already know what's proven, and you can see kind of the structure, and you have different templates and stuff like that to put in your content.
And you also get the analytics. I think that's something not to be looked down at, which you don't get with ChatGPT.
Yeah, 100%. So let's move on to Hype Fury, and I guess Typefully as well. They are quite similar, but here we see Hype Fury. That's mostly for X, I would use it for, but you can use it for other platforms as well to schedule content. But I'm interested to cover here a little bit the AI features. I think they do have quite a few of these as well.
Yeah, it's very similar. AI helps you draft here, and the main benefit of Hype Fury is this get inspired and create things. So let's say I want to be inspired by my own best tweets only. This is something I have rarely seen in other tools. Like, they always show you the best creators for a certain industry or certain niche. But Hype Fury also says, okay, what are the best tweets that Jan published? And you can see I'm not very active on X, and they are not ranked because it's on shuffle here. But essentially, I can see, okay, this is the type of content I've written before that worked really, really well. And then I can use their AI to create my own version of it. I could say reuse, that just simply puts the same tweet again, and then I just make last week of 2023, make it count, or 2024 if I schedule it for December now. But the cool thing is also you have these auto plugs and tweet boosters and auto unretweeter. So what you need to do with X is, obviously the feed is structured in a way that if I publish a post once, it's not being seen in, let's say, in the next 5 hours, or after 5 hours rather, I should say, it's not being seen anymore because it just gets pulled down so long in the newsfeed of my subscribers and my followers. But what Hype Fury lets you do is it automatically retweets after 12 hours. So you span across multiple time zones in that way. And if a tweet gets a certain level of engagement, and you can set that threshold for yourself, it automatically plugs your newsletter, for example, or plugs an entry-level offer that you have.
That's what you see from the top creators on X, for example. They're not spending the time to do this manually. They have it already automated with a platform like Hype Fury. I think you can do some of this in Typefully as well, which is another platform that I quite like. They have a nice interface as well. That's basically for a little bit for social media. We mentioned Opus Clip previously. It's more like a video tool or repurposing tool, but you can publish this to your favorite social media platforms in YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, Stories, and whatnot. You can do all of this. I would probably not do it directly, but you can do it like this if you want to. There's another one that I like. It's called repurpose.io. I guess it's a little bit of a competitor, but there you can automate it completely. It's not as good for everything, but I would say it has more features for like really, really automating this stuff. They started as an automation tool rather than AI tool. They have been around way longer than a lot of these other tools. By Hanimura, he's actually a speaker on the AI for Creators Summit as well. So he built this tool and he's been around for a long time, and now they're adding a lot of these AI features. So you have generative AI built in, you have a lot of this stuff. So you can actually do this, but it's not like Opus where you can actually just upload a link and it turns it into different videos automatically. It's more like you spread the content on different platforms. That's kind of how Repurpose works mostly. But another one I like, that's mostly for editing, is CapCut for video editing stuff that we didn't mention before. It's not an AI tool per se, but I would probably I do like it a lot for their mobile app to get in there. It's really, really simple, but even the desktop app is great to edit some content. If you don't want to get into something like Final Cut or Adobe Premiere or DaVinci, I think this is a great step, especially we've had a little bit issues with Descript sometimes. So maybe this would be a tool that we would use if they don't solve their bugs, for example, that we have experienced a little bit. Another one that I use a lot, especially on the YouTube channel, is vidIQ. And I love their AI content generator for YouTube. I think this is really useful. And if you have the paid plan, you get a lot more. You're not just going to show it quickly here, but you can actually also get all the tags, recommendations. You can get the titles and all of this. And even if you have the extension on Chrome and then you go into your YouTube channel and you're within your account, you see all these suggestions, which is pretty mind-blowing. So I do love vidIQ. TubeBuddy is an alternative, but I've always kind of stuck with vidIQ pretty much for these kind of things, and I do think they are a little bit better in some ways, at least.
Yeah, and just one thing, that is something you'll see with all the AI tools, and we are keeping this in because we're showing you the truth and not the polished version of the truth. Sometimes you'll see errors like this, and that's just because AI is a new technology and everybody's using it. So the servers powering all those different tools can be overloaded from time to time. Like you wouldn't believe how many errors I see from the OpenAI API in the background of my AI SaaS that I'm building. So what you have to do in this case, when an error like this happens, is you just reset this and you try again.
You have to do this a lot, especially also with image generation when it comes to AI.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it shows an error or it's not exactly what you want, or even more common, the output is not really what you want. You have to reprompt, you have to do it again. I mean, you have to have a conversation with AI. I think that's worth mentioning. Treat it as a human, basically, with anything you do. Because if you brought on an intern on your team, you would actually not just expect them to know everything in your business. It's the same with AI. Have a back and forth conversation, and you're going to hear a lot of the experts I have for the AI for Creators series, they share the same stuff. And people who say you need this mega prompt and this and that, and you need 5,000 prompts, it can help to some extent, but are you going to really put in 5,000 prompts and do this? That's not the good use of your time. Rather, learn how to use tools specifically for creators so you can focus on what you like to do most, create and being creative, actually serving your customers. Do you think you serve your customers best when you're spending time prompting and then being frustrated with this? No, I wouldn't say so. I don't know if you have anything to share around this as we start to wrap up the session, Jan.
I think you're hitting on a very important point right here, and that is you have to find the tool that fixes the problem you face. We shared countless tools in this session with you, but maybe just one or two are really important for you right now. Don't waste your time jumping into every tool that we've just shown you. Be clever about this. Think about, okay, I've got this thing that I want to achieve in my business, or I know I have this bottleneck. Maybe the review process for written content takes me too long, or maybe I know I need this funnel up, but I don't know how to write the headlines for it, or I don't know how to build that email sequence for it. Focus on that specific use case. Research the tools. You have the chapters below in the description for all the tools that we've shared with the links and stuff. You've got the AI super bundle that we've got in place that guides you through certain processes. It's also linked below this video. But nail down the use case and focus on that, master that one tool, really learn it inside out, forward and backward, and then you go to the next one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Jan. I think this is so important when it comes to AI tools, to actually master the tools you are using. And yes, you can train your team on this. You can amplify your team with a lot of these different tools that we have showed here. And there's probably thousands and thousands of AI tools. And most of them, they're probably going to go out of business at some point. What I'm seeing is that a lot of tools that you might have been using for years, they're adding AI features into the platform. Like HubSpot has been doing this. That's more on the higher end, but Canva and tools like that. So you can keep using the same tools. And we see that with email marketing tools. Like you might know of Beehive. They have very useful AI features. I think ConvertKit might come out with this at some point as well. Quite similar. So you have generative AI built into the tool. We're seeing this with ClickUp, Notion, and a lot of other tools we have mentioned here in this session. So just dive into some of them. I think it's going to actually boost your productivity if you use it the right way. If you're struggling and the tools are not really helping you to get things done, then take a step back and see, what do you really need in your business? I think that's what I would say, and that's how I see it. What do I actually struggle with? What are things I don't want to do in my business? And that's what the AI tools can help you with. And if you want to dive even deeper and master AI, we have an awesome AI super bundle for creators that we put together. You can find links to that in the description. It's really, really useful. We spent countless of hours crafting this, so I highly recommend it if you want to take things to the next level and supercharge your creator business. If you like videos like this and maybe you want us to dive deeper into some of the tools we mentioned here, definitely drop a comment below and let us know. Like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.